They wouldn't know who I was, though. All right, we're in the book of Judges. Book of Judges. Remember, we talked about Deborah. We talked about Barak. We talked about Gideon, Ahimelech, Tola, Jair, Jephthah, Ibzan, Elon, Abdon, and who was that last guy we just studied about?
Samson.
Who was the tough guy?
Samson.
Samson. All right, old Samson. And Samson, we have a lot of things about his life, or just like us. We can study Samson and study our own life. Now, there were 6 servitudes of Israel. And why was Israel into servitude to other nations 6 different times? What was the purpose of it? And why?
Punishment.
What?
Punishment.
Punishment. First of all, God told them to go into the land and cleanse the land of all these idolaters and pagans. Did they ever do it? Never did. Now today, in the land of Israel, where they didn't clean the pagans out in that period of time, guess what? They're still having trouble today. It just kept on coming on down the line. I want you to understand one thing. Demons are territorial. That's going to take a few years to settle in. Demons are territorial.
Like hyenas?
Demons. Demons are territorial. Demonic influence. What drew the Canaanites to worship those pagan idols?
Well,
What drew it? What drew them to worship the pagan idols?
Satanic influence?
Satanic, demonic influence. Is Satan real? Yeah. Is Satan still at work in the world today? You better believe it. The Bible calls him the God of this world. You want to know why everything's going so bad? All the storms, all the problems that we have in the world today, sickness, disease, plagues, famines, wars. Who's the author of all this? Sure isn't God. Satan. All right? That's the problem with the world. Now, let's go to Judges, the 17th chapter, verses 1, and what does that mean? How many of you know what that means? Brother Brett, you've been in college. Did they teach you what that meant?
That?
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
Follow forward.
Follow forward, wow.
Have you ever seen that in any book? Look it up. Yeah, just look it up. It means follow forward. It means go on and therefore. Okay? All right, let's look at it now. Let's go and look at the 17th chapter of the book of Judges, and we'll understand very well what in the world's happened here. They didn't cleanse the land, did they? They didn't cleanse the land. Now let's go on here. What is your husband's name?
James.
What is it?
James.
Okay. You want to read for it? You don't want to do that. All right. How about you, Brother David? Are you over there?
17?
17 or 8 or 17 and verse 1. Let's see what in the world happened here.
Now there was a man from the mountains of Ephraim whose name was Micah.
All right. There's a man from the mountains of Ephraim. And how about you, young man? You want to read the next one?
Said to his mother, the 1,100 shekels and silver that I took from you, and about which I heard you utter a curse. I have the silver with me. I took it.
All right. Now this boy stole 1,100 shekels of silver, or pieces of silver, from his mother. All right. He robbed his mother. In other words, that's a pretty sad situation. What was the penalty for this, Brother Brett? Death. You didn't offend your mother and father. You didn't curse your mother and father, and you supported your mother and father. You didn't rob your mother and father, did you? Did Jesus ever accuse the Pharisees from robbing their mother and fathers? How did he do that? Let's go back and look at, or go forward and look at that. Huh? What did he say? He said, "You say Corbin, and you don't support your mothers and fathers, the widows and their fathers." When a when children got up to a certain age, they supported their mothers and fathers. That's what they were expected to do, and God set that in His law. I mean, it's there, solid, okay? And these rich Pharisees, some of them, they'd get up and they'd become very wealthy. And instead of supporting their mothers and fathers, they would say, I'm dedicating all of my wealth to the temple. It's going to be a korban, it's going to be a gift. So therefore, I can't give it and support my mother and father because it's all going to go to the temple. And Jesus said, you're liars. You say it's a gift, but they get to use it all their lives. When they die, it goes to somebody else. And that way, they don't have to share their wealth with their mother and father. Okay? Now this guy goes and robs his mother. All right? How many pieces of silver? 1,100 pieces of silver. This is a lot of money. So what did he do with this? Now here's your average run-of-the-mill Jew now. They're in the land. They've compromised. They're worshiping their idols and say they're still worshiping God. What was so bad about the... remember when Moses went up on Mount Sinai? He was up there for 40 days. While he was up there, the first time he was up there, what in the world was Israel doing down at the foot of the mountain?
Build a calf.
They got Aaron, the man that did all the miracles. You know that Aaron did all the miracles in the land of Egypt. It wasn't Moses. It was Aaron. It was Aaron's rod that they did this. Aaron was the spokesman in Egypt, not Moses. They got Aaron because he was a goldsmith. All right? They got Aaron to build them a golden calf. And what did they name that calf? What did they name the calf?
Jehovah.
Jehovah. And they said, this is a God that took us out of Egypt. Boy, that was horrible, wasn't it? If they'd have just bowed down and worshipped him as the calf, as the God of Egypt, it would have been one thing, but to say that this is Jehovah. Jehovah had already overcome all of the gods of the cattle. Remember when the deadly murrain was on the cattle? He showed them that the cattle wasn't their God. He had already overcome all the gods of Egypt, and now they come out there, he's up on the mountain receiving the law of God, and they build a calf and say, this is Jehovah. So, you know what's happening right here? We're having the same story over again. All over again. Brother Art, number 3.
And he returned 1,100 pieces of silver to his mother, and his mother said, I wholly dedicate the silver from my hands to the Lord my son to make a graven image and a molten image. Now therefore I will return them to you.
Look at that. Is this the same story over again, right there at the foot of the mountain? What happened to them the last time that they made it? Now this is a silver calf now. This is not a golden one. Here's a silver one this time. A silver image. What did God do? When Moses came down off the mountain, what did Moses do? God had written the law of God out on tablets, a tablet of stone, and God carved the stone out, and he wrote with his hand, he wrote the law of God on that stone. When Moses got down off of the mountain, what did he do? You remember, Brother Mike? He threw the tablets down and broke them because Israel had already, he showed them literally what they had done themselves. He said, you broke the law of God, and he threw the law of God down. And he broke it. And then the next time he had to carve out the tablets of stone, and God wrote on them again, and that's the ones that's in the Ark of the Covenant today. All right. When Moses got down off the mountain, a bunch of those people had to die, didn't they? A bunch of them died. All right. What else did he do? What happened to the golden calf? By the way, how was the golden calf made? Hebrew tells you that. The Hebrew. How was the golden calf made?
Jewelry Aaron made.
All right. They took the jewelry and they gave to Aaron, and what did he do?
Melted it down.
He melted it down and pounded it out into plates, and he carved out a calf out of wood. And then he plated that wood with gold. Now look at another of the defamation of God, the blasphemy of God. Look at the rest of it now. In the Ark of the Covenant, what was the Ark of the Covenant made out of? What's it made out of?
Acacia.
It was made out of wood and what? Covered with gold. That talked about the humanity of Jesus Christ and yet his deity. So what did they do to the calf?
Throw it in the water.
They duplicated what was going to be real. Wood and gold.
Oh, I see.
All right? But they said, this is Jehovah. Jehovah isn't a calf. God said he made man in what? In the image of a calf? In his own image. It said in his shadow casting likeness and his blood flowing likeness and his spiritual likeness he made man. All right? And I know what it says in King James, but what does it say in Hebrew? God made man as what? As he made the dust of the earth. From the same source. Where did the dirt come from? God. Where did man come from? God. Man didn't come from dirt, but he was going to become dirt. He was made from the same elements as the dust of the ground. And we are related to the earth, aren't we? Because we're made from the same elements as it. Not from dirt. God didn't make a mud doll and breathe life into him. He made man from the same elements that he made the dust of the ground. To become dust. Because he knew that man was sin. And then it says he breathed into him the breathings of lives. You were there when God breathed life into Adam because your life was in him. Every man's, every woman's life was in him. All down to them. You were there. Okay? And when Adam sinned, guess what? Your life that was in him also became partakers of that sin. Okay? Well, we see this handed down all through time. Verse number 4 now. Verse number 4. Brother Rex, are you there?
So when he returned the silver to his mother took 200 pieces of silver and gave them to the silversmith, who made them into a graven image and a molded image, and they were in the house of Micah.
Oh boy. Now we have an idol in the house of one of the sons of Israel. We find on, we go on, in verse number 6. Here's the real problem, Brother Bill. Verse number 6.
And those, and I want you all to know, this was a woman that gave him the money. Make this in. Those days, woman's doing it again. In those days, there was no king in Israel. Everyone did what was right in his own eyes.
Who gives us the standards? Where do we have all the standards of worshiping God? From God. You don't do that which is right in your own eyes. That's why we got so many denominations in the world. Men doing everything which is right in their own eyes. God called out his church. He founded his church. And the devil founded hundreds of them. The Lord founded one. All right? The Lord founded one. The devil founded hundreds of them. And back in Israel now since they didn't cleanse the land, all of this idolatry and demon worship and demon influence has influenced the children of Israel. So now they're going to be worshiping God. And what did God say in the basic 10 Commandments? What does it say? Thou shalt have no image before you. Do not make any molten image. And what are they doing? They're breaking it. They're breaking the law right here. All right, now verse number 7, Brother Brett, are you there?
Yes.
17 and 7.
And there was a young man out of Bethlehem, Judah, of the family of Judah, who was a Levite and sojourned there.
All right, now here is a Levite. This is one of the sons of whom? Aaron. Now these guys are so messed up, they don't know what they're supposed to be doing either. They have gone away from God. They've got so influenced by the devil. Brother Mike. Brother Mike.
And then the man departed from the city, from Bethlehem in Judah, to stay wherever he might find a place. And as he made a journey, he came to the hill country of Ephraim, to the house of Micah.
All right, keep on going.
And Micah said to him, Where do you come from? And he said to him, I am a Levite from Bethlehem in Judah, and I am going to stay wherever I may find a place.
What were these supposed to be doing? What were these Levites supposed to be doing?
Supposed to be guarding the
They're supposed to be.
tabernacle.
They were supposed to be. God had his system of worship. God had a system of worship, and this tabernacle was to teach them about Him. God said, I wanted to dwell among you. And that's what the whole tabernacle was about. They had a system of worship. They didn't need to invent one of their own. Now here we have, this is false religion, people. False religion. All right, Brother Mike. Number 10.
Micah then said to him, dwell with me and be a father and
Aha, be a padre. Be a father. Does this sound familiar today? All right, be a padre to me.
Be
Go
a
ahead.
father and a priest to me, and I will give you 10 pieces of silver a year, and a suit of clothes, and your maintenance. So the Levite went in.
So the Levite went in, and now guess what? He's supposed to be God's man, and he's going astray because of money. All right? Number 11, 12, and 13 there, young man.
So the Levite agreed to live with him, and the young man was to him like one of his sons. Then Micah installed the Levite, and the young man became his priest and lived in his house.
So Micah consecrated him, just like he was a priest. This is getting worse and worse. The plot's worse and worse, isn't it? What are they doing? They're plotting against God and against God's system of worship. All right. Number 13. Number 13, Brother Art.
And Micah said, now I know that the Lord will prosper me, seeing I have a Levite and a priest.
That sounds like we've got a term today, what we call this prosperity, wealth and health and prosperity gospel, doesn't it? Nothing's new under the sun. Yes, it's nothing new under the sun. Nothing wrong with wealth and prosperity, but they're tying this to religion. Chapter number 18. Again, it says this. Look and see what it says again. This is a repeated statement over and over and over again, Brother David. Yeah.
In those days there was no king of Israel, and in those days the tribes of the Danites was seeking an inheritance for themselves to live in. For until that day an inheritance had not been allotted to them as a possession among the tribes of Israel.
Okay, now there had been a possession allotted to them, but they didn't take it. As simple as that. They didn't take their possession. Now as we go on, we find out, we're just going to quickly go through this, and we find over here in chapter 18 and verse 14, look and see what happens. They take up this idol, and they're going to trust in the idol to make them strong. Okay? They're going to trust in the idol to make them strong. Brother Floyd, number 14.
Then the 5 men who had gone to spy out the country of Laish said to their brethren, do you know that in these houses there are an ephod, teraphim, a graven image, and a molten image? Now therefore consider what you will do.
All right, what they're going to do is going to want to go grab up these things, and they're going to worship it. And they're going to think that this is going to, these idols now are going to make us successful. What all they had to do in the beginning was follow the rules of Jehovah, all right? Now jump on over to verse 25. Verse number 25, we're kind of skittering through this a little bit. Brother Art, number 25.
And the sons of
Wait,
Dan,
go back up to 23.
they cried to the sons of Dan, who turned around and said to Micah, what is the matter with you that you have assembled together? Go down to 25?
Yeah. No, 24.
Okay. And he said, you have taken away my gods which I have made, and the priests, and I have gone away. And what do I have beside? So how can you say to me, what is the matter with you? And the sons-
You've taken away my gods. Can anybody take away your God, Brother Floyd?
No.
Do you think anybody can steal your God, Brother Mike? Huh? What do you think about it? Do you think, Brother Bill?
I like to point out and say, you've taken away my gods, which I made.
That's right. You've taken away my gods, which I made. My gods. Boy, had the Canaanites influenced these people? Here's a Levite priest What happened to Aaron? What did God do to Aaron when he went astray? What was the end result of Aaron?
Killed a lot of sheep, smacked him around a bit.
What was the end result of Aaron?
Got demoted.
No, Aaron died before they got to the promised land.
That's right. What did he do? He had him go up on the mountain,
Yeah.
and God killed him. Why did he kill him?
Because
Because he was disobedient.
Yeah.
And that was an object lesson. But what do we have now? Here we have one of his sons doing the same thing that Aaron did back then with another created God. Another created God. Number 25. Number 25. Who was reading that?
And the son of man
Okay.
said to him, do not let your voice be heard among us, or else fierce men will fall upon you, and you will lose your life, with the lives of your household.
Okay, go ahead.
So the sons of Dan went on their way, and when Micah saw that they were too strong for him, he turned and went back to his house.
All right, number 27 now. Number 27, Brother Rex.
Then they took what Micah had made, and the priest who had belonged to him,
The priest who had belonged to him, he'd been bought and paid for, hadn't he? Bought and paid for religion, people. Bought and paid for religion. Go on, Brother Rex.
and came to Laish,
Laish.
to a people quite insecure, and struck them with the edge of the sword, and they burned the city with fire.
All right. And verse number 29. Let's go down here and look at verse number 29 now, Brett.
And they called the name of the city Dan, after the name Dan, their father who was born unto Israel.
Born unto Israel. Isn't that a shame?
Howbeit the name of the city was Laish at the first.
Okay, go on, number 30.
And the children of Dan set up the graven image. And Jonathan the son of Gershom, the son of Manasseh, he and his sons were priests to the tribe of Dan until the day of the captivity of the land.
Verse number 31.
So they set up for themselves Micah's carved image, which he made all the time that the house of God was in Shiloh.
All right. Where were they supposed to be worshiping? At the house of God in Shiloh, where the tabernacle was. But what had they done? What caused all their problems? Themselves. They brought heaped coals of fire, heaped damnation upon themselves. Is what happened. Now we go over here in the 19th chapter of the book of Judges. This is kind of a weird thing. Now we got a Levite. All right. He's having love problems. He's having marital problems. Okay. This Levite. And he has a concubine. Okay. What's a concubine?
Another headache.
What, Brother Bill?
Another headache.
Another headache. Now, how many wives did Solomon have?
Thousands.
He had 1,000. He had like 700 wives and 300 concubines. What he had was 1,000 wives. Now, young people, I want you to listen to this. Listen to this very closely. What is marriage? What is marriage?
It's a blessed union between two people. It's a sacred bond between two people.
How does it happen? What?
Through a ceremony.
Huh? What?
Legal
Through a
time.
ceremony.
Covenant.
No. What is marriage? What is marriage according to the Bible?
Between you and God.
It's what? All right, guys. According to the Word of God, marriage is not some ceremony. Marriage is not a license. Marriage is when a man and a woman come together in union. And young people, if you do that, you're married to them. As simple as that. And in God's eyes, you are one with them. So don't do that before you decide to make it final. As simple as that. Because that's God's, that is His formula for marriage. Okay? That's His formula. Now, I don't care how many concubines or whatever they had here. This concubine is this man's wife. The reason why they call them concubines is because they didn't give them any inheritance for their children. Okay? That was, but what were they? They were wives. Period. Now, in verse 19 and verse number 1, let's go here, 19 and verse 1, Dr. John. 19.
And it came to
John.
pass, and it came to pass in those days, when there was no king in Israel, and there was a certain Levite staying in the remote mountains of Ephraim, he took for himself a concubine from Bethlehem in Judah. But his concubine played the harlot against him.
All right, the concubine played the harlot against him. What does that mean?
She was unfaithful.
She was unfaithful. All right. Now, the prescription for this unfaithfulness for these women was what? Kill them. Exterminate them. That was the whole purpose of it. But he wanted to repair his marriage with her. All right, with his concubine. So what did he do here, Brother John?
Okay, but his concubine played the harlot against him, and went away with him to her father's house in Bethlehem in Judah, and was there 4 whole months.
All right. For a period of 4 months, she had run away from home now. So now he goes back over there. What happens here, Brother John? Number 3.
Then her husband arose and went after her, to speak kindly to her and bring her back, having his servant and a couple of donkeys with him. So she brought him into her father's house, and when the father of the young woman saw him, he was glad to meet him.
Yeah, he was glad to meet him. Now, he could have had the judges go get her and kill her. That was the prescription for this situation. He could have had her killed. But he's going to go speak tenderly to her, lovingly to her. He's going to go try to convince her to come back home. Okay? That's the whole story. He wants to convince her. He must have loved her. She was unfaithful. He's ready to forgive her, and he goes over there, and the father is glad to see him because my daughter could have got killed. She could have been stoned to death. All right? That was the prescription for her unfaithfulness. Number 4. Go ahead, Brother John. You're doing it right.
Now his father-in-law, the young woman's father, detained him, and he stayed with him 3 days. So they ate and drank and lodged there.
Now, back in the Middle East back there, this is the customs of the day. Maryland. Now, according to the customs of the Arabs out there in the desert, what happens? When you come into a person's house out there in their tent, all right, what do they do? You told this to me.
They wash their feet.
They wash their feet. They feed them for how long?
3 days.
3 days. And after 3 days, what?
Start smelling like fish.
What? Now listen. After 3 days, what?
They get out of there.
After 3, they're welcome for 3 days. After 3 days, they're what? They're welcome as a snake. In other words, get out. It's time to leave. For 3 days, they'll feed you and clothe you and let you sleep there. But after 3 days, you're as welcome as if you were a serpent in the tent. Okay, get out now. So he goes according to the custom. Now he stays here for 3 days. Brother Rex.
They're like fish after 3 days.
All right, company and fish stinks after 3 days. Isn't that the old story? Well, it goes way back, people. Well, now this guy, he's so glad to see him, he lets him stay for 3 days. But now what happens, Brother Floyd? Verse number 5.
And on the 4th day they arose early in the morning, and he prepared to go. But the girl's father said to his son-in-law, strengthen your heart with a morsel of bread, and after you may go, and that you may go.
All right. Now what happened here is they just sat down and they kept on eating and drinking. That's what happened. They kept on gorging themselves. In verse number 6, Brother Mike. Number 6.
So both of them sat down and ate and drank together, and the girl's father said to the man, please be willing to spend the night, and let your heart be merry.
All right. Now he's welcome to go the extra mile with him. He's going to tell him to stay one more night. He's so happy. All right. One more night would turn into 3 days again. But evidently he didn't want to go. Now this man didn't have real good judgment. Brother David Ash. Number 7.
And when the man stood to depart, his father-in-law urged him, so he lodged there again.
All right. Now on day number 5, Brother David.
Number 9.
Uh-huh.
When the man arose to go along with...
Oh, no. Go back to the number 8.
And on the 5th day, he rose to go early in the morning. And the girl's father said, please sustain yourself and wait until afternoon. So both of them ate.
All right. So now they eat again. Now he keeps on postponing his journey back home. Verse number 9. Now this is pretty important here, Brother Art.
When the man arose to go along with the concubine and serpent, his father-in-law, the girl's father, said to him, Behold now, the day has dawned to a close. He spent the night. Lo, the day is coming to an end. Spend the night here, and that your hearts may be merry. And tomorrow you may arise early for your journey, so that you may go home.
Now he told him something very practical. Did you travel at nighttime or in the evening in the Middle East during this period of time? What happened usually?
Eaten by animal or
Huh?
robbed?
What happened?
At night you didn't go nowhere.
You didn't go no place because most predators are what?
Night.
Nocturnal. That means they go out at night. The lions and the tigers and the wolves and stuff, they hunt at nighttime many times. Okay? And so do the predators called thieves and robbers. Okay? The thieves and robbers. People didn't go out at nighttime. They stayed in or they traveled in the daylight. So they could see the criminals coming. They could see the animals coming. They could see. This was his practical knowledge. But this guy wasn't very bright anyway, was he? Huh? What was he? He's not real bright so far. He's a Levite, but he doesn't have good sense. Okay? Number 10. Number 10. Go on, Brother Brett.
Okay. But the man would not tarry that night, but he rose up and departed and came over against Jebus.
Jebus, which is Jerusalem.
Okay.
All right?
Which in Jerusalem, and there were with him 2 asses saddled. His concubine also was with him.
Okay, now he had 2 donkeys that were saddled. They were riding donkeys. Okay, these are riding donkeys. There's donkeys that they put burdens on, but these were riding donkeys. These were a little bigger, and their donkeys really travel really good. They travel at a real good little gait. And these donkeys over there are a lot different than the wild ones that you catch out here in the desert. These out here are kind of wild. Well, they call what they call in the Bible is wild asses. They are untamable, basically. You can't do much with them. But these donkeys, the domesticated donkeys over there, are real gentle and docile animals. Okay? That's what we have here. Verse number 11. Any you young man, you want to read? Huh? Verse number 11? Okay, just read out real loud there.
When they were near Jebus and the day was almost gone, the servant said to his master, Come, let's stop at the city of the
Jebusites.
And spend the night. His master replied, No.
Okay, now this guy wasn't too bright, was he? Now he said, we're out in the open, we have no protection. His servant had better sense than he did. So he said, now let's go into the city. In the city, what is there? There's protection in the city. All right? But he didn't want to do that.
That's Jerusalem or Jerusalem?
That's Jerusalem. Okay. It's called Jebush. At this time, it's not Jerusalem yet. Okay. It's Jebush. All right? Jebush.
So there weren't any Jews there.
Well, there were Jews there also. But these were, all of these people are a bunch of ungodly buzzards. Okay? These are a bunch of ungodly buzzards. Who was basically in this area? No. Who were the people in this area? They were the Benjamites, weren't they? But these were an ungodly bunch of people. All right, these Benjamites. Let's look at them now. Let's look at these Benjamites and see what they do here. These sons of Benjamin, son of the right hand. That's what it means. Brother John, number 12.
Number 12?
Mm-hmm.
But his master said to him, We will not turn aside here into the city of foreigners, who are not of the children of Israel. We will go on to Geba. So he said to his servant, Come, let us draw near to one of these places and spend the night in Geba or in Ramah.
All right, let's go do this. All right, but what did he say in verse number 14?
And they passed by and went their way, and the sun went down on them near Geba, which belongs to Benjamin.
All right. This isn't very far away now from Jebush. Okay, this is a little way. So now this is the sons of Benjamin. Now let's see what these sons of Benjamin did, Brother Bill.
And they turned aside there to go to the lodge in Geba. And when he went in, he sat down in the open square of the city, where no one would take them into his house to spend the night.
All right, now you can't find lodging in here. These are sons of Israel, you know, so-called.
Now,
Okay?
if
Nobody is going to be compassionate to them. And when a stranger comes into anyone's house in the Middle East, what is the rule? 3 days. All right? This is common courtesy even to this very day. Did you know that? Even to today, the Bedouins all practice this. But nobody would do this. These were not compassionate. And what does the law say, basically? What are the two things? Love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, thy mind, and thy soul, and what? Thy fellow man as yourself. That's the law, isn't it? Well, these are Benjamites, 16, Brother Ark.
And behold, an old man was coming out of the field from his work at evening. Now the man was from the hill country of Ephraim, and he was staying in Gabash, but the men of the place were Benjamites.
All right. And verse number 17, Brother Mike.
And he lifted up his eyes and saw the traveler in the open square of the city, and the old man said, Where are you going, and where do you come from?
All right. Just keep on traveling on there.
And he said to him, We are passing from Bethlehem to Judah, in Judah to the remote part of the hill country of Ephraim, for I am from there, and I went to Bethlehem in Judah, but I am now going to my house, and no man will take me into his house.
All right. Number 19. Just keep on going, Brett.
Yet there is both a straw and provender, is that what it is?
Fodder.
Yeah.
For our asses, and there is a bread and wine also for you. And there is handmaid, and for the young man which is with the servants, there is no want of anything. And the old man said, Peace be with thee. Howsoever, let all thy wants lie upon me, only lodge not in the street.
All right. Now, don't stay out in the street in this place. Come into my house.
Keep going.
I want you to see how much like Sodom and Gomorrah this place is. Look and see how much like Sodom and Gomorrah this place is. What did God do with Sodom and Gomorrah? Huh? He destroyed it. Brother John, read it. Read on there now.
So he brought him into his house and gave fodder to the donkeys, and they washed their feet and ate and drank. As they were enjoying themselves, suddenly certain men of the city, perverted men, surrounded the
Perverted
house.
men. Worthless characters. Perverted men. Perverted. Perverts. Okay? Queers. Homosexual. That's what they were. Okay, that's the story. Now we're going to find out. I'm not just saying words. Now that's what's in this word. Okay. All right, Brother John, go on.
Surrounded the house and beat on the door. They spoke to the master of the house, the old man, saying, Bring out the man who came to your house, that we may know him carnally.
That we may have sex with them. Bring the man out. What happened in Sodom and Gomorrah? The angels came there to take Lot out. And what did they want to do when the angels came and visited him? Give us the angels. Give us those men so we can what? So we can have sex with them. The men said that. Boy. Same story over again. And why did it happen to this place? God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, all those 5 cities now. We have that an example in the Bible, don't we? And these Benjamites, these are sons of Israel, and they have gone into this land and they've been perverted by their gods. Half of their religion had something to do with homosexuality and open sex.
Now they want to
Their worship service was sexual perversion.
They want
Okay?
to replace that perverted sexual with gay.
Yeah. Well, don't worry about that. That's not gay. That's queer. Okay?
That's what I'm saying. It's
All right, let's go a little bit further.
gay.
That's perverts, all right. Brother David, 23.
Then the man, the owner of the house, went out to them and said to them, No, no, my fellows, please do not act so wickedly. Since this man has come into my house, do not commit this act of folly.
Romans, the 1st chapter, calls it what? Perversion and folly. Doesn't it? All right. Number 24. Number 24. Art, where are you there?
Here is my virgin daughters and his concubines. Please bring them out that you may lavish them,
Ravish them.
and do to them whatever you wish, but do not commit such an act of folly against these men.
All right, so now they're going to give the virgin daughters to them, and they're going to ravish the girls, and they're going to ravish this concubine. Okay? Now, that's not enough. You know that there are places in South America, there are brothels down in South America, where you can go down there if you have enough money, and you can go down there and ravish some young girl, and then you can murder her for a certain amount of money. That's the price. That's what they do. They can not only ravish them, but after they get through ravishing them, they can kill them. And basically, that's what happened right here. This stuff is still, this perversion is still going on in the world today, thousands of years later. Now, this is what happened here. Now, this is a perverted society, isn't it? All right. Number 25, Brother Brett.
But the men would not hearken to him. So the man took his concubine and brought her forth unto them. And they knew her, and they abused her all the night until the morning. And when the day began to spring, they let her go. Then came the woman in the dawning of the day, and fell down at the door of the man's house, where the Lord was, till it was light.
It was full daylight. Now what happened is they raped her and beat her and abused her and tortured her. It's not enough, sexuality is not enough, but they have to torture and kill and maim and hurt. All right? And that's what they did. And they did this until it was full daylight, and then they dumped her on the steps of this man. Dumped her on the steps. Brother Mike, 27.
When the master rose in the morning and opened the doors of the house and went out to go on his way, then behold, his concubine was laying at the doorway of the house with her hands on the threshold. And he said to her, Get up, let us go. There was no answer. Then he placed her on the donkey, and the man arose and went to his home.
Now this is a weird. How many of you ever heard this story before in the Bible? How many of you heard it before?
No,
How many of you haven't heard it?
Not like this.
A lot of people don't even go to this place. This is the carnality that took place in Israel. Why did God punish them? Why did he send the servitudes? Because of this is the whole reason behind it. They had married themselves with false religions and brought in their pitiful, horrible lives. They brought the idols into their house, and then they acted like the heathens. They acted like the heathens. All right, now, Brother Art, this is a weird thing right here in number 29. Wait a minute. Number 29, yeah.
When he entered his house, he took a knife and laid it hold on his concubine and cut her 12 pieces, limb by limb, and sent her throughout the territory of Israel.
All right, he cut this girl up.
Oh.
He cut her up, dismembered her, and sent her to the 12 tribes of Israel. What kind of a deal is this? Boy, we've got some sick people here, don't we? This sounds like Jeffrey Dahmer in the flesh, doesn't it? Huh? Psychopaths. That's what they were. Total messed up. You get away from God, and this is what can happen to you. It can turn you into the worst pervert in the world when you make up your own rules. Isn't that what they were doing? They had no king in Israel this day, and every man did what? That which was right in his own eyes. And what became right in his own eyes? Exactly what the perversion and the twisted carnality that we see here. Okay. Verse number 30. Verse number 30. Are you over there, Stacy?
Everyone who saw such a thing has never been seen or done, not since the day the Israelites came out of Egypt. Think about it, consider it. Tell us what to do.
All right. Now what takes place here now is he sends this girl's body out. Now they're all messed up people. These people are perverted. They are totally messed up. So they have a big meeting. Is what they do. All the other tribes decide that these people are so bad. Now, it's not the idolatry, because of them are all idolaters. They're all worshiping idols. They're all doing kind of weird things. Now, Luther and Calvin had a perverted idea about the interpretation of God's Word, didn't they? What did they want to do with the Jews? What did Luther call for to happen to the Jews in Germany?
Extermination.
He wanted to exterminate them. And when old Hitler came along, all he did was put in Luther's ideas. He didn't do anything new. They'd been teaching that in the Lutheran church for hundreds of years. So they were mad at the Jews, so they took them and put them in concentration camps, and they were going to exterminate them because they're the ones that crucified the Messiah. Now, Israel did crucify the Messiah. There's no lack of evidence concerning that, is there? But God does have a future plan for Israel, doesn't He? In the millennial reign, Israel is going to lead out in the administration of God's kingdom on this earth for 1,000 years. So He's not finished with them. Okay? Brother Brett.
I thought it was the Romans that killed Jesus.
The Romans, 5 times the Romans declared Jesus innocent. And the Jews demanded His death. 5 times the Romans declared. Who was the Roman that did? Who was the big shot there? Pilate. 5 times Pilate declared Jesus was innocent. And he wanted to, and they wanted Him killed. All right? Well,
his hands up.
okay. Well, what happens now? I'm going to give you I'm going to turn you loose back out there. By the way, our class starts 15 minutes later now than it did before. Did you know that? No. Nobody told you that. Our class starts it starts at 9:30 and goes to basically 10:30 or whatever. Whatever. Anyway, next week you don't have to come quite so early. If you want to come early, that's all right. Just visit a little bit more. But I'm going to finish this just a little bit, so we'll finish the book of Judges today, and it's only just a little bit. What happens? They go and they kill all the Benjamites. And there's only a few hundred of them left. They wipe them out. They wipe out the tribe almost. They almost did what Luther wanted to do, and what Calvin wanted to do. They just about wiped out the tribe of Benjamin. Did God want the tribe of Benjamin to be here? What they should have done is not kill all the tribe, but they should have killed the men that were guilty. When you punish the whole bunch for what a few did, that's a problem, isn't it? Always. You punish the innocent for the guilty. So finally, in the end, they had swore that they wouldn't give any of their wives to the children of Benjamin. So they go out and they get wives now because they know they've just about exterminated the tribe. So they get wives, they go out and they capture a bunch of women and give them to the Benjamites so they can propagate. Because they killed them all. All right? Now what a messed up story that is, isn't it? But that's just part of God's Word. God puts all of it in His Word so we can understand it a little better. If you go and do your own thing, what happens? You get pretty twisted, don't you? What did Israel do when they went their own way? They got pretty perverted and twisted, didn't they? All right. We're going to go into the book of Ruth the next time, but in the meanwhile, we're going to look at some of these. That is, if you want to. We're going to have a vote right now. How many of you want to watch those walk through the Bible deal? You want to watch them?
Yeah.
Because this will help. This is the thing. We're going to watch them probably 2 or 3 classes, and you'll get to see the land. You'll understand the land better. When you can see something, you can understand it better. What we're going to do, this guy goes in, and he tried to scientifically prove where Noah's Ark was and all the different things, where the Garden of Eden was, how it happened. And he's a Jewish guy. He's a Jew. And he's studying the Word of God, and he'll read it out in Hebrew and everything, and then he will show you the different places where all these things happened, and Egypt, and all of that. Anyway, we'll look at that. And I think it'll be a great asset to you. And we'll start that next week. All right, Brother David.
Okay, first I'd like to say hi to Teresa Little. You guys are all over there. You've been